Since its inception, Google has been tracking your every move, and not until recently did we learn what exactly they were doing with all of that data. From listening to your conversations to feeding you content based on what you've interacted with, today we're going to be breaking down the top 10 scary ways that Google tracks your every move. But before we dive into today's video, make sure you smash that like button to show some love to the channel. And with that out of the way, let's begin today's top 10. Coming in at number 10, online activity. So without a doubt, Google and their advertisers know exactly who you are, what you like, and they can even predict future purchases. This is because of your Google profile. Right away when you make your Google account, you hand over your first and last name, any nicknames you have, your birthday, your gender, your passwords, your email, and even your phone number. Then everything you type into that Google search bar gets banked into your profile and the ad matching begins. Plus, if you're using Google Chrome, you are not only inputting your entire web browsing history, but you're also giving up records of the files that you've downloaded, usernames you've chosen, lists of permissions you've given, data saved by Google Chrome add-ons, and even your location. Coming in at number 9, location tracker. Okay, so to be real with you, this is where the real creep factor comes in when it pertains to Google tracking you. Their location settings keep track of everywhere you've been, and what's even scarier than that is the fact that they are so blasé with showing you a full map of everywhere you went month by month, including your favorite spots. Depending on the products you're using and settings you choose, you may provide Google with different types of location information that they say are critical to making some services work and making others more useful for you. Location can come from real-time signals like your IP address or device location, and also your past activity on Google sites and services to tailor experiences for your context. Coming in at number 8, ad personalization. Personalized advertising, formerly known as interest-based advertising, is a powerful tool that Google says they use to improve advertising relevance and increase the return on investment for their advertisers, which is more so what this is all about, right? Like, let's face it, it's the advertisers that writes Google's check, not the user. In all of their publisher products, they make inferences about a user's interest based on the sites they visit or the apps that they use. This allows advertisers to target their campaigns according to these interests, providing that quote-unquote improved experience for users and advertisers alike. Google considers ads to be personalized when they are based on previously collected or historical data to determine or influence ad selection, which includes a user's previous search queries, activity, visits to sites or apps, demographic information, and location. Coming in number 7, My Flights. When you Google My Flights, you'll get a list of all of your upcoming air travel plans. Well, you used to at least. I mean, with COVID, you shouldn't have anything on there right now. But according to Google, this info is pulled from your emails, which is even creepier. And something we'll also get to next. So not only does Google know where you've been, but thanks to their My Flight service, they even know where you're headed. And unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be much more you can do about it so long as you're buying tickets online and using your Gmail as contact information. Which brings us right to my next point. But before I jump into that, make sure you've hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. That way you never miss another video from us. Now coming in at number 6, Gmail. So a hard reality to face is that if you use Gmail, Google has access to everything, including the contents of your email, and besides deleting your account, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, you can tell them not to use your Gmail to target you with ads, but you'll have to dive into your ad settings for that feature under the ad personalization. Although doing so won't necessarily even turn off all advertisements, and it certainly won't stop Google from collecting your information. When you turn off your Gmail ads, Google just reroutes and grabs the information from another source. Google is known to collect vast amounts of data about each user, and there's no reason to believe that G Suite services are exempt from this. There may be unintended consequences for this data collection as well. For example, a judge may issue a subpoena to Google to divulge customer emails, and Google would have no choice but to comply. The owner of this data might not even know about it, but if the data in question were, say, a physical document, the subpoena would be delivered to its owner, who would at least have the opportunity to object to the data collection if it were unwarranted, which is just so scary that now because of Google, the law enforcement can just go right around you and straight to them for whatever they want. Coming in at number 5, Google Analytics. When a user visits a website, Google Analytics immediately will drop a cookie on the user's browser. Cookies are small files that contain information about the user's activity. Using these cookies, Google Analytics will know how a user behaves on a website and then collects this information to show companies different reports. More than half the world's most popular websites use Google Analytics as well to collect information about their visitors. What's scary is that these sites also use this in tandem with Google AdWords to scatter advertisements through text-based content. This in turn will let Google take your information as soon as you load a page containing this software. Coming in number 4, shared information. Now, one would assume that if you're not using Google as your search engine, then there's no way that they can spy on the websites you're visiting. Unfortunately, this is just not the case. Even if you're not using Google Chrome, other browsers including Mozilla Firefox and Safari use a Google blacklist to check if the websites you're going to are dangerous or or not. Which sounds like a great idea, but to check the safety of these websites that you're zipping around to, these browsers are ratting you out to Google and still telling them what websites you're typing in. I mean, come on, Mozilla, we go way back. How are you gonna sell me out to Google like that? I can understand if Bing did something like that, but not Mozilla. Coming number 3, YouTube history. Now let's say at this point you are just ready to delete your whole Google account. Well, it's not gonna be that easy. If you do that, you're probably also going to have to find a way to live without YouTube. Now, with YouTube being a Google service, you are required to create a Google account just to sign up. And in comparison to other video streaming services, YouTube reigns supreme. I mean, when was the last time you watched a video on Vimeo? Or just be honest with yourself. Really, have you? Even as big as Twitch is, it still doesn't touch YouTube. So right away, if you're using YouTube, every ad you don't skip will then send that information to advertisers to feed you more things like that. Plus, even based on the type of content you're watching, you can expect to see more curated ads through YouTube that are geared towards tempting you to click. Coming in number 2, Google News. Computer algorithms determine what shows up in your Google News feed, and because of that, the algorithms determine which stories you read, the images you see, and they even select in what order you receive this news. In some cases, people like publishers and Google News teams will choose stories, but this is pretty rare. Through Google News, they can track a number of things about you, and more importantly, they have users actually input their own interests. Like I said before, they sell this as a way for you to customize your newsfeed, but why would I want my newsfeed to be custom? I just want the news. I don't want only the news I want to hear. See, not all news is good news, and that's okay. That's what the news is for. However, Google has twisted it into this echo chamber of stories that either enrage you or confirm your own opinions. Then through those interests, they yet again feed you more personalized advertisements. Cause capitalism. Last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, Google Assistant. Now this one has to be the most evil of all of the ways that Google can track you. In fact, I would almost call these Google Home devices deplorable. Because for so long, people were terrified that the government was going to be listening in on their phone calls, and now we just are willingly installing a bug inside of our own homes? Why? Because it tells you the weather when you ask for it? You want to know the weather? Stick your head out of a window, and if your face gets wet, bring an umbrella. So right away with Google Assistant, they are collecting all of your voice searches, and all of this can be justified too, right? Because how else would this device work if not being able to recognize when someone is speaking? The creepy part is that sometimes Google Home will just respond to you and you never even asked it anything, which can suggest that it's always listening. Kind of like Santa Claus, like an evil Santa Claus. On top of that, this device is often used to integrate with third-party services, which means your info is just getting passed off once again. Now, is it healthy to be paranoid about big tech? No, but just understand what you're getting yourself into and maybe look into getting a VPN to protect your online privacy just a little bit more. But that has been the top 10 scary ways Google tracks your every move, and before we get out of here, I'm going to check out some of your comments from the video titled Kim Kardashian defends Britney Spears, PewDiePie calls out David Dobrik, and Eminem hits back at Gen Z. Sora says Gen Z have no chance, the guy invented throwing shade, he thrives off controversy, just listen to his songs. Yeah, this is Eminem you're talking about here. He's just gonna make a new song about everything you said about him. Andre Cooper Primo says, not saying Kim K is wrong, but how did she manage to turn a post about Britney Spears into being all about herself? I mean, I think she was just trying to relate, but I could see how you got that from that. Mariana Cruz says, that's what I was thinking about Rihanna, she wouldn't have agreed to it otherwise. 100%. It literally happened a year after she suffered the exact same thing, so there's no way that she would have agreed to that. Winbad says, Gen Z coming for Eminem is my new favorite joke, ain't no one coming for the rap god, silly kids. Yeah, rap god lives on, he's undefeated. Julie Goodrich says, I'm so sick of people being blindly offended. If you can't explain why it offends you, then maybe you should look into the matter a little deeper. It only takes a few seconds to Google the issue of concern, and it may save you from looking ignorant. It may save you from looking ignorant, but it may also send you personalized advertisements, as we learned in today's video. And that has been today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube. Personalized advertising, formerly known as interest-based advertising. Not that hard. For users and increase the providing that quote unquote. Sorry, one more time. So not only does Google know where you've been, but God damn it, false starts. Breathe, Johnny. Slow it down. One more time. Because how else would this device work if not being able to recognize? Gonna do that sentence again. David Dobrik and Eminem I almost said hips back. Slurring words. All right.